Okay, let's jump right in today because we've got a really stunning, almost urgent warning from industry veteran Andy Schectman. His latest take is titled, get this, something massive just snapped in silver.
Yeah, that title definitely grabs your attention, and it should. It really highlights this huge disconnect he's seeing.
A disconnect. How so?
Well, you look at the paper price, right? It's been kind of bouncing around maybe high $40 per ounce recently, something like that.
Sure. Seems relatively stable on the surface.
But Schechtman's basically saying that number, it's a facade, it's masking what's really happening underneath.
Okay, so what is happening underneath? He mentions a storm of physical supply crisis building. That
Yeah.
sounds intense.
It is. He argues this isn't just some minor market correction we're seeing. No, this is the beginning, the early stage of a genuine, full-blown physical supply crisis.
And what's driving that?
It's industrial demand going into overdrive. Think solar, EVs, defense tech crashing right into shrinking physical stockpiles. It's a collision course.
And the urgency is key here. He's saying the question isn't if silver will shoot up.
Exactly. The real question, the scary one, is whether you'll even be able to buy physical silver when that big move finally happens. Availability, not just price.
All right, we need to unpack this. Why is the physical market tightening so dramatically right now? And what does it mean for anyone looking to allocate?
Definitely.
And hey, really quick, if you want to follow Scatman's original commentary and the insights we're breaking down here, make sure you tap like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for their updates. It's worth it.
Okay, so first, let's talk opportunity. Because from a numbers perspective, Schechtman sees silver as, well, a much better buy than gold right now.
Even though he thinks both are going higher.
Yep, even though he expects both to climb. The key is the value proposition based on historical context.
Ah, you mean the gold to silver ratio. We've talked about this, but it's always worth revisiting.
Precisely. Historically, maybe 16 ounces of silver bought 1 ounce of gold. That's the rough average, 16.1.
And today it's closer to.
Hovering near 80.1. It's just massively distorted.
Why does that historical ratio even matter, though? Is it just nostalgia?
No, it's geology. Silver is actually mined at a ratio much closer to gold, something like 8 or 9 to 1.
Okay.
So the fact that the market values it at 80 to 1, that's an extreme imbalance. It suggests silver's potential upside, its ability to snap back towards that historical relevance, is way, way bigger than gold's, proportionally speaking.
Right, so that imbalance suggests a strategy. Steckman mentioned he's helping clients swap gold for silver.
He is. The idea is to ride that ratio compression. You swap gold for silver now, while silver is undervalued at 80.1.
And then?
Then, when the ratio corrects, say it drops back to 40.1, or even lower, you swap back into gold. You end up with significantly more gold than you started with, potentially explosive gains in metal holdings.
Got it. But there's a catch, right? Taxes.
Ah, yeah, crucial point. He always reminds people, swapping assets like that is typically a taxable event, so you absolutely need professional tax advice before making moves like that. Don't just jump in.
Okay, good reminder. Now, price targets. He's pretty dismissive of forecast calling for silver to drop back to $40, isn't he?
Completely dismissive, calls it unrealistic. He thinks there's a much, much higher chance the next major target zone is actually $60 to $65 an ounce.
And what's underpinning that confidence, besides the ratio?
Well, huge non-negotiable demand. The U.S. government has officially reclassified silver. It's now considered a critical mineral for national security.
Critical mineral. What does that mean practically?
It means guaranteed future demand from government and strategic industries. It essentially puts a floor under the price, regardless of paper market games. Defense, energy infrastructure, they need silver.
Okay, that critical status is a big deal. Let's use that as a pivot. If government and industrial demand are locked in and rising, why is this physical crunch hitting now? Why wasn't this happening 6 months ago?
That's the logjam at the refineries he talks about. It's all about production cycles and, frankly, market psychology.
Explain that.
Well, think back a few months. Trading was quieter, right? A lot of the public focus was maybe on tech stocks, maybe crypto.
Sure, metals weren't the hot topic.
Exactly. So the refineries, seeing slower retail demand, scaled back their output. They adjusted production down.
Makes sense from their perspective.
But now, suddenly you've got spiking inflation fears, geopolitical chaos, and rising institutional interest in physical metal all hitting at once.
And the refineries can't just flip a switch and ramp up instantly.
Precisely. They're overwhelmed, they're backlogged, they just don't have the immediate capacity to meet this surge in demand. It created a bottleneck.
A log jam.
And this directly impacts the average person trying to buy because the refineries are prioritizing.
Big orders, institutional orders. They're focusing production on larger formats, 10-ounce bars, kilo bars, maybe even bigger.
Which means?
Which means the smaller stuff, the popular investor coins like American Silver Eagles, they're getting squeezed out. Production lines are dedicated elsewhere, so those coins just start vanishing from dealer inventories. Okay, that connects the dots on the refinery issue. But Schectman also brought up some truly startling numbers about overall financial allocation.
Oh, yeah. This is where it gets, frankly, a bit terrifying if you think about the potential impact.
Lay it out for us.
Okay, get this. Globally, across all financial assets, everything from, Joe and Jane's six-pack savings to the massive Harvard endowment fund, precious metals, currently represent less than 0.5%, less than 0.5%.
Less than 0.5%. Wow. That's tiny.
It's practically nothing in the grand scheme of things. But here's the kicker. What happens if that allocation starts to shift?
You mean if more people or institutions decide they need more exposure to metals?
Exactly. And big players, fund managers at places like Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, they're now actually recommending clients increase the metals allocation, maybe towards 5%.
Okay, from less than 0.5% up to 5%. That sounds like a significant jump, but maybe not world-ending.
You'd think so, but do the math. Going from 0.5% to 5%, that's not just adding a few percent, that's a multiplication.
Oh.
That's a 50-fold increase in demand. 50 times. 50x.
Wait, 50 times the current demand, just from reaching a 5% allocation.
50 times. If that shift happens even partially, the physical market simply cannot handle it. There isn't enough readily available metal.
That's an exponential demand shock.
It is. And Schectman's warning here is stark. He basically says, and I'm quoting him closely, there would be nothing left tomorrow, nothing, that is flat out 1,000%.
Now,
Getting physical metal wouldn't just be expensive, it would be incredibly difficult. You'd be looking at long waiting lists, queues for delivery, kind of like what folks have already experienced at times in the UK or Australia.
we're seeing signs of this pressure already, right? Even while the spot price on paper hasn't completely exploded yet.
Absolutely. You've got the big bullion banks doubling down on their short positions in the paper market, betting the price goes down.
Trying to suppress it, maybe?
Perhaps. But meanwhile, the physical market is running dry. The disconnect is widening.
And that shows up in the premiums, the extra cost to actually get the metal in your hand.
Yeah. Instantly. Look at U.S. Silver Eagles. Just a while ago, the cost over the spot price was maybe $4 or $5 an ounce.
Okay, pretty standard.
Now, it's soared. We're seeing $8, $8.50, sometimes even $9 over spot. That's nearly a 10% jump in the premium alone.
That's a huge signal of scarcity. Dealers must be scrambling.
Oh, they're getting caught flat-footed, for sure. The physical reality is diverging sharply from the paper price.
Okay, so given this potential availability crisis, what's the strategy? If someone wants to buy physical silver now, what's Schectman's core advice?
It's really simple, and it's all about efficiency. His number one rule, prioritize owning the maximum weight in silver, ounces over everything else.
Maximize the ounces for your dollar.
Exactly, which means, and he's quite blunt about this, buying those high premium coins like Silver Eagles right now. He calls it stupid from a purely financial accumulation standpoint.
Because you're paying a big chunk extra just for the design or the collectability, not the actual silver content.
Right, you're paying for sizzle, not steak, when the goal should be accumulating as much steak as many ounces as possible.
So what should people prioritize then?
Junk silver is a great option. That's the old U.S. coins, pre-1965, with 90% silver content.
Why junk silver specifically?
Because the manufacturing premium is basically zero, it's already circulated. You often get about 4% more actual silver weight for your money compared to buying, say, a brand new 10-ounce bar.
Interesting. So junk silver. What else?
Generic forms. Plain 10-ounce bars, kilo bars, also other sovereign mint coins that tend to have lower premiums than Eagles think, Canadian maple leafs, Australian kangaroos. These can often be $3 or $4 cheaper per ounce than an Eagle right now.
So the focus is purely on cost per ounce of actual silver. Get the most metal you can.
That's the strategy for accumulation in this environment. Now, he does admit personally he loves the collectibles, like old Morgan dollars or Eagles. He calls them something mystical and special.
Sure, they have appeal.
But financially, for building a position against risk, the focus has to be laser sharp on maximizing weight. Ounces, ounces, ounces.
You also mentioned digital options, platforms like Glint. How do they fit in?
They definitely have a place. Glint makes owning some exposure really easy, right? You can put in just $5. It's way better than leaving cash sitting idle in a checking account, losing purchasing power.
Seems convenient for sure. But there's a but, isn't there? Especially regarding long-term security in a crisis scenario.
There is a big but. It comes down to how the metal is stored. Allocated versus segregated. Glint is allocated,
Meaning,
meaning you own a share, like a claim, on a larger pool of metal that Glint holds for all its users. It's great for liquidity, for spending.
but it's not your specific bar sitting with your name on it.
Exactly. And that's where Schectman's golden rule comes in, especially for serious long-term security. If you don't hold the keys, you don't hold your coins.
Meaning physical possession is paramount.
Physical possession is ideal, or at the very least, segregated storage. That means your specific bars, your specific coins are identified, set aside just for you, maybe in a secure vault like a Brinks facility. You have a title to that specific metal.
So digital allocated platforms like Glint are good for easy access and spending maybe smaller amounts.
Yeah, for liquidity. But for your core long-term security holding against systemic risk, you want physical possession or segregated storage. That's the distinction.
Makes sense. And folks, if these kinds of insights into the physical market mechanics are valuable to you, and they really should be right now, please make sure you are subscribed to MacroEdge. Hit that subscribe button now to keep up with these critical perspectives.
So let's pull it all together. We've got the scarcity, the distorted pricing ratio, the massive potential demand shock. What's the big picture here?
Schectman sees a clear parallel, almost a repetition, of the big metal cycle back in the 1970s,
Right, but with a key difference this time.
which is
It's playing out on a much larger global scale. And importantly, it's not just driven by inflation fears like in the 70s. Now, it's underpinned by critical industrial necessity and official national security classifications. The demand is structural.
So, his final message, his bottom line. It sounds incredibly urgent.
It really is. He stresses that the real danger facing investors right now isn't that the silver price might dip temporarily. You can usually recover from a price pullback if you hold on.
The real danger is
Attack it out on availability, completely, as he puts it very directly. You can't recover when there's nothing left to buy. Price becomes irrelevant if you simply cannot source the physical metal.
that definitely leaves us with something to think about. A final provocative thought for you, the listener. If silver truly becomes the choke point in whatever comes next, essential for defense, for green energy, for the whole future economy, the question is, will you already own it?
Or will you be one of those people stuck waiting in a digital queue, hoping for a physical delivery that might never actually arrive? That really feels like the choice facing everyone right now.
If this discussion helped clarify what's unfolding beneath the surface in the silver market, please do us a favor, hit that like button, and make sure you subscribe.
As Schectman implies, the window to act to secure physical assets before things potentially get really tight seems to be closing faster than many people realize.